Okay, well, good evening. It is that time again, Tuesday, Courageous Self-Love Healing Circle. And today we have live Gloria in New York, and I'm here, Amelia from Huntington Beach. And for those of you on the recording who don't know me, I am a self-love teacher and a coach and a hypnotherapist. And I created these healing circles just to have a safe space for people to come to every week, and we talk about a different topic, and we just really come together in community and do some journaling and do some healing together. And the way that we've been doing it for the last month or so, so tonight is our 8th one. Yeah.
Nice. Very
Eight
nice.
is such a good number. It's like a number of good fortune. And I'm not feeling too well today, but I'm feeling well enough to do this, so maybe this will be a shorter one, especially since it's just me and Gloria here live. But how we get our guidance is from this self-love activation oracle deck, and it's a 44-card oracle deck that I developed actually. And just to give you a little bit of information about it, it's 44 cards and it's split up into 7 categories. And they're designed to activate your self-love in those different categories.
Can you show me a card?
Yeah.
I just want to see physically, what does it look like?
Yeah, so this is the guidebook.
Yes.
And then when you open it up, the cards are here.
Oh, okay.
So this is a welcome card.
All right.
And so
pink of course.
It says, welcome to the Self-Love Activation Oracle deck. And there's a little welcome note there. Mm-hmm. And then this is the back of the card.
Okay.
So it shows the 7 different categories. So I can just go through them here.
Very nice.
It's money, spirituality, community, wild card. There's 2 wild cards. Relationships, body, and career. And perfect. So each category has 7 cards, except for the wild card. It has 2 cards. So that's a total of 44 cards. And you see they're very colorful. They're very pretty.
Gosh, Amelia, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you can see here, like, these are a few money cards. So you can kind of see the color scheme. So the money cards are generally green.
Green, right. And on the money cards, is there a sentence? Is there a word? Is there a question? Okay.
Yeah, every card has a phrase on it.
Okay.
And the phrase is meant to activate like an intuition that you already have. But each card really is a separate lesson.
Great.
And so those lessons can be in the guidebook, and then I'll also have videos to kind of explain each lesson. But like each card alone has its own lesson. Mm-hmm. And so we've been using the cards on these healing circles. So you've experienced a few of the cards already, Gloria, and those of you who have been here either on the recording or live, you've all experienced the cards.
Okay.
And so the way that we do it on this call, on this circle, is I usually, right before the circle, I'll kind of meditate and I'll shuffle the cards and I'll ask the cards, what does the group of people who are going to either be at the circle or watch the recording, what is it that they need to know? Or what's the medicine that they need, or what's the answer to the questions they have. And then I pull 3 cards, and then this, Gloria, on the call, I give a choice of A, B, or C, and we let majority kind of pick. Lucky for you, you get to pick whichever one you want.
Woohoo!
And then I actually also picked an extra card, which is like the general lesson for the day.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll do that one last, but I wanted to, but for you, Gloria, you can pick A, B, or C?
I'm going with A tonight.
Okay. That's good. That's the one that I wanted too. So,
good.
Yeah. So we're going to go with A. So it is a relationship card. And the way that you know that is because it's generally like a purple. And the icon here, you can see it's like 2 circles together. So that's like a relationship.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Very cute. Very
And
nice. Very
so
nicely done.
thank you. And then so the phrase on here is everything you see is a reflection of you. And
Interesting.
and so in the context of romantic relationships or just relationships in general, the lesson behind this card is really relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are really a container for growth. And the people in our lives are a reflection of us somehow. And so that's why the phrase is everything you see is a reflection of you.
Of you. Yeah.
Now, the thing that I want to say about this is it could be like a direct reflection. So like if you see that, if maybe someone in your life is generally like very angry or negative, maybe you're not an angry or negative person by nature, but that could indicate a reflection to you that there might be some unresolved anger or negativity that you need to look at and heal or resolve.
Okay.
Another example where that's like kind of more of a direct reflection, right?
Right.
Or even on the flip side, like something good, like a lot of times, like someone that we admire, you know, like let's say I admire Beyonce, or I admire Oprah Winfrey, right? And it's like a lot of times we can look at those people we admire and think, oh my gosh, they're so great. And like we put them on this pedestal and it's like, oh gosh, I wish I could even be half as cool as that person.
Right.
And this card, the lesson here is really, you do have that in you. Whatever you see in that person, maybe it's power, maybe it's eloquence, it's elegance, right?
Right.
You have that in you. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it.
Okay,
So,
I like that.
Yeah. So it's either like bad stuff or good stuff, but my invitation to you is like, it doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just like, if you can think of every person in your life as somewhat of a reflection of you, there's a lot of learning and healing that can happen. And I want to caution everyone, though, because it's like, I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by assholes, I must be an asshole.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to mean that. Maybe it might just mean, like, if you're surrounded by assholes, like maybe if you think about at work and everyone at work is so negative and awful, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, they're my mirror, so I'm negative and awful. It could probably just mean that you have some, like I said, unresolved negativity, or you could be unconsciously like very negative to yourself, like negative self-talk. Really yourself. So that's one example. Another example that was kind of, especially when I was like dating, it was really hard for me because I kept like attracting these unavailable people. So one example could be like, I meet a guy and he's really cute and I think he's into me, and like maybe we even go on a couple of dates. And then like weeks later, he like admits to me, I'm married.
Oh my gosh.
I've had that happen more times than I care to count. Or that they're in a relationship, or that he's like not over his ex or whatever. So I kept attracting these like unavailable people. And then another example of that was I kept attracting people that were like really into drugs. Like, you know, they smoked a lot of weed, like to the point where it was too much, or they just were really into recreational drugs. And around that time was when I first learned this lesson of like everything is a mirror, like people are your mirror.
Right.
And it would confuse me because I'd be like, I don't even do drugs. I don't even like weed.
How is this? Right. How is this?
Yeah, like how is this a mirror for me?
Right.
Or like these unavailable men. I'm available. Like I'm totally single and I'm available for love. Like I want love in my life. So how is it that these unavailable men are my mirror, and I'm not married, you know, or I'm not in a relationship. I'm not lying about my relationship like these
Right.
guys are. So it
Yeah.
confused me a lot because I was like, if they're my mirror, how is this my mirror? So I did a little bit more like personal development and personal growth, and I found that, now this is for me, and so I'm going to say my story, and then maybe like you can relate to it, or those of you watching the recording. But I would be confused, right? Like, I don't do drugs, I'm not in a relationship, I'm not unavailable. How are these guys my mirror? And so I read this book called Radical Forgiveness, and essentially one of the lessons I got from that book is like, a lot of the times the thing that you want other people to do, that you're just like, you need to do this or you need to do that, a lot of times that's an indication of something that you actually need to do.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was interesting. And so for me, with the unavailable men, I mean, it took years for me to like discover this. So I'm telling you like the full picture, but like just be aware that this can take years, or hopefully it doesn't take that long. But for me, I started to ask myself, okay, just because I'm not married or in a relationship, what are the ways that I'm unavailable? So that started to like open up a whole doorway of healing and learning for me. So even though I wasn't exactly unavailable the way they were, I had to ask myself, well, if I'm attracting all these unavailable people, there must be some way that I'm unavailable. Or
Right.
if maybe, or maybe not, but at least if I ask the question, like, what are the ways I'm unavailable? That kind of started to open up a whole new journey for me. And I got to really see that, I mean, I'm not condoning the behavior of those men for like lying about their marriages or whatever.
No, they were totally dishonest, right?
Right, totally dishonest. However, and I'm glad you brought up that word dishonest actually, Gloria, because yes, dishonest, but then it's also like, what are the ways that I'm being dishonest in terms of what I want in a relationship, what I want in my love life, or just in general? What are the ways that I'm out of integrity? What are the ways that I'm being dishonest? And then the really interesting thing, ooh, someone else is coming in.
Oh.
Hi, Elizabeth. You might have to unmute yourself. And also start your video. So just say hello. Sharing is never required, but I always just like for people to at least say hello so I know they're there. Usually the unmute button is like on the bottom left somewhere.
Yeah. It's the very last one.
Yeah.
Very last left.
Okay, I think I can hear you now. Elizabeth?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Elizabeth. It's Amelia speaking. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we also have Gloria here live. So we already got started, but I'll just catch you up. We pulled some cards from the Self-Love Activation Oracle deck, and the card that is for today's lesson is everything you see is a reflection of you, and it's a relationship card. So I'm just sharing kind of some examples of how relationships in your life are a reflection of you. Okay?
Okay.
So just feel free to catch up. So the other piece was that I was attracting all these men that were like really into recreational drugs, and I was not into recreational drugs. So I was very confused because I was like, if people are a reflection of me, how is this a reflection if I don't do drugs but they do drugs? And so I had to do some inner work to peel back the layers even more and ask myself, like, okay, what's really going on? And so I asked myself, and thanks to the guidance in the book Radical Forgiveness, I was like, okay, well, what's the thing that I really want them to do, these people that are into too much drugs? I really wanted them to get help. I was like, I wrote down, I was journaling, and I was like, I would really love for this person to see that what they're doing is harming them. I would really love for this person to get help. I would really love for this person to try and see ways that they can live a healthier lifestyle, and not really making them wrong, because I think you have every right to do whatever you want to do to your body. But since I was kind of dating and in relationship with these people, I just was kind of like, something's not working out. And so when I wrote down, like, I really want them to get help, I really want this, I started to see that was the reflection. It was reflecting back to me, what are the ways that I'm not getting help for myself and for my problems or my issues? And this was like years ago, like more than 10 years ago. And this was before I had ever done any therapy. I wasn't anti-therapy because my mom was a guidance counselor, but I was very much like, oh yeah, therapy is good, but like, I don't need that. Like, I just was very much like, I don't need it. I'm okay. Like I was successful, like on paper, by all the ways that you want to be successful. But when I kept peeling back the layers, I realized like maybe there's something to getting help. So I started to look into therapy. I started to look into support groups, and I got a therapist. I started joining some support groups. And at first, I was just there, like, I'm just here. Like, I'm not really invested. I'm just here to kind of see. But very quickly, I was able to see, like, oh, wow. Like, I was focusing on all these other people's problems when I was totally ignoring, like, my problems and my stuff.
Right.
And just normal things like being a human on planet Earth. Like, I feel I'm an advocate for therapy now, and I think everyone gets to do therapy. I think it would be really great for everyone to do it. I no longer think you have to be like, quote unquote, messed up or have like a crazy illness or whatever. I think everyone could really benefit from that. And so
yeah, I used to call therapy basically sorting and coping.
And coping. Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that?
It's really simple. It's like, okay, here's your life, and you got all this stuff in it, but like your categories. There's relationships, there's spirituality, and then under that of the life, that's the umbrella life. Then it's like sorting things out and prioritizing. These are good things in my life. These are things that are not so good, but I need to have them. So if I felt that I couldn't get rid of something, like this has to be a part, like, for example, I didn't get along very well with my stepmother, but she was in my life. So I couldn't just eliminate her from my life. So I had to figure out a way to cope with her.
Right.
So sorting out my life, saying, okay, to my positive people, here are some negative people. Can I eliminate some people? Yes. And if I can't eliminate them, then I got to figure out how to cope with them because they're in my life.
Yeah. And therapy, that's such a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Because in therapy or coaching or healing, just having someone else kind of help you sort through the things.
So important.
Help you cope and help you process your feelings, because life happens really fast, right?
Yeah. I remember one time I went to my therapist, and I sat down, and so I said, how was your day today? And she looked at me, and she pointed her finger right at me, and she said, you don't ask about my day. And I looked at her.
We're here for.
So, she was right. You're here to work on you. We're not friends.
Yeah.
I'm your therapist, and you can't avoid by asking about my day.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, she put me in my place, and she was absolutely right, because I have a strong personality, and I usually do take over a conversation, and so I said it really very innocently, but she just nailed it and said, you don't ask about my day. So I never did again. I said, all right, let me roll up my sleeve. Let's get to work.
No, that's so true. And I think that's a way that, definitely for me, but I think that a lot of us, we avoid our own stuff by pointing the finger at other people. And that kind of actually goes back to the lesson of this card, right? Where it's like, whether it's a dating relationship or a family relationship,
Yeah.
friendship, it's easy to be like, oh, so and so really needs to, like, and this mirror, this reflection is across the board, because it's like anytime I hear someone, myself included, complain about someone else, like, oh, so and so really needs to learn how to step into her power, or so and so really needs to learn how to, like, manage her anger, or so and so could really use
Need to set boundaries.
It's like, well, look, take a look at yourself. Everything that you're saying that other person should do is often something that you're either learning or recently learned, or maybe need to learn a little bit more about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to pause there and just caution, like, this isn't about you beating yourself up or shaming yourself. Like, because for me, when I first learned the lesson of everyone around me is a mirror or like a reflection of me, like I used to use it as like shaming myself. Like, if, like I said, if I was surrounded by a bunch of assholes or negative people, I'd be like, well, I guess I'm an asshole, or I'm a negative person, or, oh my gosh, I need to fix myself. So I just want to caution you or anyone else watching this recording, like, don't get too crazy with this lesson. I think the point of this lesson is to just create more awareness and consciousness, and you can learn a lot about yourself and your healing just from observing the people around you. So you can even just think of someone in your life, actually, and let's do that as a journaling. But before we do that, because I know, Elizabeth, you came a little bit late, so I don't know how much up to speed you feel, or if you have any questions to feel up to speed. I just want to check in on you, how you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think I'm just kind of processing everything that you're saying. Like, I don't know, just the whole, I think I'm kind of learning about that concept right now of, like, how someone else can mirror you.
Yeah.
I don't know, especially like if you've met someone and you made like such a profound connection, that it's almost like, I don't know if you like heard of the concept of like twin flames.
Yes.
But yeah, I just started to kind of look into that, and how a lot of like self-healing needs to happen.
Yes.
If you've met someone that's such a kind of brought on some kind of a catalyst, to seek some more spirit, get in touch with like spiritual and like self-healing. So that's actually why what led me to this circle. So
okay.
Yeah, so I think it's all making sense. Definitely processing it, and
good.
Yeah, so thank you for being accommodating as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and this is like a general note, and I think I sent it in my most recent email. I'm okay if, like, because everyone has a life, and I'm okay, like, if people are a little bit late. But I think last week we were really deep in talking, and it wasn't, I don't know if you came last week late, but
No.
really deep in talking about like grief and something really deep, and a lot of people, like maybe 2 or 3 people, tried to get in a little late, and I couldn't let them in because I just was like, the container was already set. And
Right.
So I'm happy to be accommodating, and Gloria and I were in a conversation that, we were totally able to like let you in, but I'm saying this too for the recording, because a lot of people watch the recording, and I just want to say, like, I'm not trying to like lock anyone out. Like, I'm as accommodating as I can be, but last week we just got pretty deep, and I didn't want to like disturb the healing that was happening. But it's all on recording, so anyone can go back to the recording and kind of see. But I'm glad you're here, Elizabeth, and I'm glad that you found this. And I know everything's processing, so a lot of something that, this is your first time here too. Something that we do every week is I guide everyone through some journaling, and that helps us process even deeper. But I wanted to check in with you, and so it sounds like you're pretty up to speed. So the journaling question that I want you both to do, and I'll put like 2 minutes on the clock for this. But right now, just think of someone in your life, and it can be, I recommend it to be someone that has been, I want to say rubbing you the wrong way, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be someone that, maybe it's someone that's really awesome that maybe you're kind of jealous of, or maybe it's someone that you're dating or thinking about dating. But usually the first person that pops up is probably the right person, but I'll let you decide. But think of someone in your life that something's rubbing you. Maybe it's something good, maybe it's something bad, but it's just like, maybe you find yourself saying, this person needs to XYZ, or if only this person would ABC, then everything would be great. Or if it's something good, it could be like, oh gosh, this person has ABCDEFG, and I wish I could have that, and oh my goodness. So think of someone in your life, preferably someone you know, but just think, it could even be like a famous person or whatever. But think of someone, and then in the spirit of this lesson, everything you see is a reflection of you in the context of relationships. Answer this question: how is this person my reflection?
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and I'll just keep tabs on the time for you. So just go ahead and start doing that. So the question is, when you think about this person, how is this person a reflection of you? And just, again, the caution is, this isn't about shaming you, because if it's like something bad, I don't want you to be like, oh my God, I'm the worst person. Just, be as objective and like observant as you can be. So you have about 1.5 minutes left. One more minute. You have about 30 seconds.
Come up, my girl.
Is everyone ready for the second question?
Yes.
Okay, so the second question just takes it a little deeper, so you can even continue the first question and kind of guide it into this one. But the next question is, what lesson is this relationship trying to teach you? And I'll give another couple minutes for that. So what lesson is this relationship trying to teach you?
Oh, I lost you. Where are you?
Oh, I'm still here. You have about a minute.
Okay. All right. I found you. I hit a button on the bottom and you vanished. Sorry.
No, that's okay, but you're still here, so we didn't
Yeah,
lose.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm here.
About 30 seconds for that, and then there's one more question. All right, wrap up your thoughts on that question, and then you can start to answer the third question, which is, what is a tangible action step I can take to further my growth and healing? And make it related to this line of questioning. So don't go to left field. Just keep going with this context.
Can you repeat it again, please?
Yes, of
What
course.
is a tangible?
Yeah, what is a tangible action step I can take to further my growth and healing in relationship to this context that we're talking about? You have about another minute left. Take another 30 seconds or so.
There we are now. It's dark here. It's getting
Oh,
dark.
that's right. You're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Does anybody need more time to answer the questions? Are you good, Gloria? Elizabeth?
I'm good. I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Yep.
You're good? Okay.
I'm good.
So I want to hear from both of you, and but just kind of as a review, this, I mean, you had 2 minutes of question, but this is a great practice. Like I go through this process or something similar, especially anytime someone's like really bothering me or rubbing me the wrong way, because there's a reason for that. There's like I came across the term the other day called, it's like sand, not the other day, this was years ago. I read some article and it was like, they called it sandpaper people. And when you think of sandpaper,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah, you think of sandpaper and it's like you use it to kind of smooth out the wood so you don't get splinters. So, sandpaper is rough, but essentially the point of it is to smooth you out. And so it's like these sandpaper people are rubbing me the wrong way. And I can either have it just like take me out or just have me be like totally angry or just like be irritable all day or something like that. Or I can look at it and say, okay, what is the lesson here for me? Obviously this person is in my life, or these people are in my life to refine me, right? Because these are sandpaper people. They're here to smooth me out. And so I always kind of try to look at, how is this person a reflection of me? What's the lesson that's here for me to learn? And I always love like tangible action steps. I'm very committed to like actually making a change and not just like theoretically talking about things. So I always like to say, what's something I can do? And it can be something really simple. So like for me, when I was talking about those guys that I kept dating these guys that were into drugs and like I didn't get it. For me, the next tangible step was like, okay, I'm going to look into therapy, or I'm going to look into support groups, or I'm going to look more consciously into my healing, because clearly something needs to be healed if I keep attracting these kind of people and it's bothering me. Or like with the unavailable men, like the men who are like married or in relationships, I had to really just be like, okay, if like something about me is unavailable, what is that? So I had to, like, the next action step was just to sit down and journal, you know, what are the ways that I'm unavailable? And what I discovered when I was kind of going down that path was I discovered I had all these unconscious beliefs that were keeping me from actually connecting with men in the way that I said that I wanted. I was terrified of men. I was very angry at men. I believed that men were like stupid and like what could they do to add to my life? But this was all very unconscious, so I had no idea. But all those unconscious beliefs were keeping me unavailable. So I had to do the work to like uncover it and heal and love myself so that you know, I could finally connect. Okay, so I want to give everyone like 2 minutes to share, and so I'll tell you when you have 1 minute left. And the reason that I'm doing the timing is just because we only have a few minutes left in the hour, and I want to. All the stories and everything are really great, but I think when we get down to the essence of what it is, that's where the real transformation is. So we're going to play around with this timing. So I'll give everyone 2 minutes. And again, Elizabeth, no obligation to share, but you can if you want to. So would either of you like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay. So you can share, like, you don't have to share everything you journaled, but just like,
Right.
I'm most interested in hearing like, what's the essence of it? Like what aha or insight did you have? And I also definitely want to know like, what's the next action step you're going to take?
Right.
Okay.
So
On the clock.
now, do you want me to tell you who the person is, or you just want me to describe the scenario?
You don't have to. It's up to you. That's, I mean, your own privacy if you want to keep it private.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a person in my life, a female person, and she's in my life, but we're very different as women. And I find she's definitely someone that I have difficulty relating to because we are so different. I'm single. She's married. She was a stay-at-home mom. I've worked my whole adult life. She's very religious, very rigid in her values. I'm very open and receptive, and so there are a lot of areas that we really don't connect well. But she is in my life, and so there she is.
Mm-hmm.
So
About a minute left.
I try to figure out, how I can relate to her, but my concern is that I think I come across too strong,
Mm-hmm.
or too. I think she senses that I don't really respond well to her. That she annoys me. So my goal is to really change my tone with her. I thought about approaching her and saying, I'd like us to clear the air about our relationship, but I think that that would intimidate her, and she would just fold because she's a very guarded person to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think me approaching her would just intimidate her even more, and she wouldn't open up. She would just say, no, everything is fine, and just move on. But I think what I'm going to do, my plan of action, is to really change my tone with her, be more accepting of her, allowing her to be herself. And then maybe as she gets more comfortable, then maybe we can develop a more intimate or closer relationship. Because I think I told you when we first started that my new mantra is not everybody has to be Gloria. I get
Yeah.
that now. I want to accept her, I'm puzzled because I feel that I have been open and receptive to her, and
Yes.
it hasn't gotten us anywhere. So I think I have to go into her world. That's what I think I
Yeah.
have to do.
I love that. There's so many layers there. And I wish we could go into all of it right now. The first layer that I want to say is there is such a thing, you know, whatever you believe in, we grow up in a patriarchal society. And what that means is, generally speaking, what that means is men are like the more important gender, essentially.
Right.
And there's so much I can go on a whole soapbox about that, which I won't right now, but one of the downfalls of that is women are generally pitted against each other, and just subconsciously we're programmed to be in like adversarial with each other. And it's something that my coach Joanna Lindenbaum, she calls the sister wound. So it's like a collective sister wound. And if any of you like podcasts, I have a podcast episode on this called Self-Love and Friendship. And it's where Grace and I, and you met Grace, Gloria, but Grace and I, we talk about how feminine connection is the medicine that our world needs. And so we have to like undo all this programming of like the combativeness that women have with each other in order to tap into this resource that we have of feminine connection. There's so much to say about that, but I just wanted to say that's probably collectively what's at play. So like outside of like your individual relationship with this person. But the other piece is, and again, I don't have to be right about this, but the things that I pulled out are, so remember how for me, like I don't do recreational drugs. So the mirror with me and those men, it wasn't direct mirror. But some of the words that came up a few times as I was listening to you talk was like a sense of guarded and rigid. And I know you, Gloria, so I know you're a very open person, but I think a good question to explore is, what are some ways that I might be too rigid or too guarded? And because here's the thing, as open and as flexible as we are, if rigidity and guardedness is coming up for you, chances are there could be something there. There could not be, but there could be. Kind of like for me, I was attracting all these unavailable men and I didn't get it. I was like, I'm available. What are you talking about? I'm single. I'm ready to mingle. I'm dating. What do you mean I'm unavailable? But like, as I said earlier, when I started to peel back the layers and just start to ask myself, what are some ways that I'm unavailable? That was when I started to get a little bit deeper. So, yeah, I don't know how does that resonate for you?
Yeah, no, what I was writing down as you were talking, you know, like, what did you say here? What are some ways that I am rigid or guarded? And I would say definitely that I have strong opinions. Mm-hmm. There is no doubt in my mind that I have strong opinions. And so probably they're in opposite, or they are in contrast with her strong opinions. Mm-hmm. So there's a clash. So I think when I said my solution, my my tangible is to change my tone and be more accepting of hers.
Yes. Or just you don't even have like accepting, because you can disagree with her, right? It can even be more open. And what it reminds me of is my relationship with my mother. May she rest in peace. But my mom and I had such a combative relationship, especially when I was in my early 20s. And when I was doing some inner work similar to this, I realized, I was like, okay, my mom and I may never agree on certain things. And then when I really looked at it, I was like, when I took an I became the observer of my conversations with her. And I was just like, oh my gosh, we argue so much because we're both doing the same thing. We both have strong opinions and we're both trying to get the other person to agree with us. So we ended up like arguing, and I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, if I take away the actual opinions and the differences, there's so much similarity there. We're both strong opinioned, rigid in our think,
Right.
we love to like
Right.
teach, and we love to like get people to agree with us. And so I realized, I was
Right.
like, holy crap, we're doing the same thing to each other. And for me,
To
I
each
just
other.
had to start practicing a little bit of openness, just a little more openness, a little more. And you know what happened? And I'm so grateful for this, but before she passed away, my last conversations with her, I could feel myself start to like get those walls up and be like, oh, why does she have to be like this? And then I was like, oh no, remember,
Yes.
you're doing the same thing. So I would just like, I just started to say thank you. Like, because saying thank you doesn't mean I agree. It just says thank you for sharing your opinion. So I just started to say thank you,
Right.
or okay, yes, mom, I'll think about that, or yes, I'll look into it. I didn't have to agree. I didn't
Right.
have to like compromise myself. And you know what happened? We actually started really connecting on a really deep level, because
Wow.
we stopped fighting and we just started talking.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and I get it though, Gloria. I mean, I'm similar to you. I have strong opinions, and I love my opinions, and I love your opinions. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Right.
not everyone
Right.
agrees,
Right.
right? And so, if you can just
Right.
go to
No.
that relationship with just like, what if I just be and just let her be? What
Yeah.
happens there? And kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. So, thank you for sharing.
No, I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're
That was
welcome.
big. That was a good intuition,
Yeah.
insight into
Yeah.
it.
You're
I
welcome.
know. Tough
That's
stuff.
what
All
I'm
right.
here
Thank
for.
you. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so we're at the end of the hour, but I love to wrap
Oh
up,
my
and I
God.
definitely want to hear from Elizabeth if you want to share, but again, no obligation. So does
Yeah.
everyone have at least a few more minutes before for us to hear Elizabeth
Yeah.
and
Sure.
wrap up?
If Elizabeth would
I
like
think,
that.
Yeah.
yes, thank you. I mean, I think basically I'm glad you shared, Amelia, about your mom, because I actually wrote about my mom,
Mm.
and I feel like I'm like on the other extreme where my mom can sometimes have strong opinions, but I kind of grew up in an environment where like it wasn't good to express my emotions, because like I just didn't want to, like I just became like non-confrontational just due to like certain upbringing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like the opposite, where I don't want to start an argument or, stir the pot or anything. So sometimes I'm scared to like tell my mom how I truly feel sometimes. Like I just kind of let her, say what she wants. But then on the other hand, like I don't get a chance to like always say, speak my mind.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, my plan of action is just to start doing that and recognizing that like she is a part of me, and that yeah, there are parts of her that I mirror, and that like because I know she loves me, and I shouldn't always be scared of like expressing how I honestly feel about my mom,
Yeah.
or like to my mom, and just I guess putting faith that she's going to accept what I have to say, and like it's don't be scared of like hurting or anything, because if you're expressing like your honest feelings and it's coming from a place of love. And I think also like what you said about expressing gratitude
Yes.
would be helpful too. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's interesting because I had an intuition to share about my mom too. And I was like, I feel like I need to share about this. And then you're like, oh, I shared about my mom. So I'm like, yay. I'm part of my practice, and my self-love practice is just like going from like, just trusting my intuition and just going for it. Cause sometimes I'm like, should I say that? Are they going to think I'm weird? But so thank you, number one. And The piece there, there's with parents and especially with like mother daughter, but with parents in general, there's another layer, and I'm glad you're bringing this into the space because it's another one of my like favorite lessons, and we don't have time to like go too into it, but just to skim the surface is with your parents or your primary caregivers, whoever raised you, when we're children, we need to believe that they're perfect or else like we're gonna die. We're totally like, and that's like, I think that's like scientifically proven, we're totally dependent on our primary caregivers. And so what makes that weird is when we start to grow up and have our own opinions and have our own personalities, and it starts to diverge from our parents, or we start to see like, oh shit, mom and dad aren't perfect. It kind of, it creates new lessons. I'll just say it that way. And so there's this thing that happens that I learned it from Margaret Lynch. She teaches about EFT tapping. I don't know if you're familiar, but anyway, she talks about the cycle of loyalty and rebellion. And I don't know if you can see the video, Elizabeth, but like I'm making a circle. It's like loyalty and rebellion. And so with our parents, we have this like loyalty to them because they are our primary caregivers. And when we were little, we thought they were gods and we thought we would die without them. So we have this very strong energetical bond to be relentlessly loyal. And what that means is, in the context of self-love, is we tend to compromise ourselves, our opinions, our feelings, how we, and it's because there's still that little girl or that little boy inside of us that's like, if I disagree with mommy, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And it's like funny to think about, but it's part of our primal brain. So our primal brain is so simple, and it's literally thinking that like, if I make mommy mad, like I will die. Or if I disagree with her, like I'm going to die. And so
we're also trying to, we strive to get their approval because they are the first person we've had the relationship with.
Yes, so and that's a whole other layer as well.
Oh my gosh.
We think our primal brain thinks we're going to die, and we just want to make mommy and daddy happy, or, we just want to be their shining star.
Right.
And so there's a lot of layers there. And I think a big part of self-love is, you don't have to go crazy and be like, mom, F you, this is what I think, not that you were, but I'm just like extreme just to illustrate. But I think it's a really great practice of that self-love muscle to start to just really say what you think and feel. And also the lesson too is being okay if she disagrees, or even if she disagrees. That for me, like the disapproval from my mom, and like, but like I had to tell my mom, I was like, mommy, I cannot keep compromising myself, like just to make her happy. Like it's my life, and there comes a point when we're adults and we have adult conversations with our parents, and it's weird because, we were the baby and now we're like, I'm an adult, so there's a lot of layers there. And that, I mean, with both of your situations, it just requires practice. Like I shared my stuff with dating, but I mean, that was practice for me to practice being available, and for me to practice like focusing on my own problems and not trying to fix other people's problems. And then with my mom, like, trust me, those first few conversations, I was just like, like gritted teeth, like,
oh my God,
okay, mom, love you too.
Breath. Here we go.
Scream into a pillow. It was so beautiful. The practice was worth it because I was able to just create a whole new possible relationship. And what I see possible for you, Elizabeth, with your mom is like a whole new level of friendship, and like an adult friendship that's like, it can be really beautiful. So I'm excited about that. Which brings me to, so I don't know I forget when you came on, Elizabeth, but what usually happens is before every circle, I kind of ask, my guides and everything, just kind of like, what's the lesson that we all need today? And then I pull 3 cards, and then I let everyone on the call kind of vote for their choice, like A, B, or C. And so Gloria picked A, and that was the lesson that we were just talking about, that everything you see is a reflection of you. But sometimes another card comes out. And so this other card came out, and that means it's like a lesson for everyone. And I actually think it's really great in the spirit of what both of you shared, and also like everything that I shared about my experiences. But it's another relationship card. So you can see it's also kind of purplish. And it says, strengthen boundaries, tear down walls.
Say that again, the first part.
Strengthen boundaries.
Oh, strengthen. Okay.
Yeah, strengthen boundaries, tear down walls. And we don't have time to go so deep into this, but generally the lesson with that is there's a difference between boundaries and walls.
Yeah.
And so when I think of so with Gloria, think of you and your friend, right? You're sitting across from her. And then Elizabeth, think of you and your mom. You're sitting across from her. And imagine a wall, like a literal brick wall, or even a whatever, regular drywall in between you two.
Yeah, right.
You can feel that, right? You can't see through it. You're not even sure if she's there on the other side. Right. Exactly. You don't know what she's doing over there. You don't know how she's feeling. There's a disconnection. So that's a wall. So now remove the wall and then just sit across from her again and then just draw a line. That's a boundary.
Right, exactly.
So you both can see the boundary, but you also can both see each other. So there's a connection there. And because there's a connection, you can actually like negotiate the boundary. You can actually feel each other. You can actually talk. You can actually connect. You can actually relate.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference between boundaries and walls. And if we had more time, I would go into more examples, but like even just the feeling of that, you can start to see how in your life you might have energetically been creating walls instead of boundaries.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. I do too. And like boundaries, why I love that image of the line in between you two is because it's something you can communicate. And so a simple example of a boundary is like, you know, I live on the West Coast, but I'm from the East Coast. So I had to start telling people like, hey, you guys can't keep texting me at 5 a.m. because that's, you know, like I love you, but stop calling me at 5 a.m. And so that was a boundary, you know, but a wall would be like blocking them, right?
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean? But a boundary I can actually communicate. And so even if, and here's it, like, people get mad at me all the time, like, you know, my mom, when she was alive, like, why aren't you picking up the phone? And it's like, I'm reminding you of the boundary. The boundary is you're calling me at 5 a.m. Like, I'm not going to pick up the phone at 5 a.m. I mean, unless there's an emergency, you know, but the boundaries can be communicated. And so I leave you with that kind of lesson of like, what are energetically or physically ways that I've been creating walls instead of boundaries, and see how you can transition those walls to boundaries. So that's that. I hope this was helpful for both of you. I'm so grateful for both of you for being here and for everyone on the recording. I always like to wrap up with a couple of questions. So the first question is, you know, what was one of your biggest insights from today? Or like, you know, what are you leaving here with, like, that you didn't have before you came? So let's go around and share that. Either of you can share first.
It was crazy because when you showed that second card, it was like, wow, it almost sounds like an oxymoron. But when you like explained it, it was like, oh wow, like boundaries can be communicated. Like I think that's what I'm starting to learn, is setting boundaries for myself, and it's a part of self-love. Yes. And instead of just relying on walls, because I think walls, yeah, like for me, I totally would have just blocked and, you know, been all, I don't know, I guess passive aggressive about it and like not even want to face it.
Yeah.
But again, it's just about me like finding ways to express myself, and, you know, and being able to communicate. So yeah, I think that was the biggest insight for
Yeah.
me right now.
I could tell that landed really well for you. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh. And it's a great distinction.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is with walls, there's no connection.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries,
Yeah.
there's connection, there's communication. And it's a practice, right? Like I remember I was very much a walls girl until I started learning like, okay, I can communicate. And the beautiful thing about it is really the right people will respect the boundaries. And you can, when you have clear boundaries, it helps you identify like who the wrong people are. Because especially for me with dating, oh my gosh, like when a man wouldn't respect my boundaries and they're very simple and clear, it's just like, oh, you're just a jerk. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like they're really good. And not just with men, like, but like with friendships too. Like when I realized I had toxic friendships, I was like, oh, you're totally not respecting my boundaries at all. Like not even a little bit. And with family too, gosh, families, like a lot of times boundaries are like not a thing. So yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm glad that resonated for you, Elizabeth. What about you, Gloria? What was your biggest insight, or like what are you taking away from today?
I think what I'm taking away is, I think I will be less frustrated if I get that I can't change her, but what I can do is I can change my reaction to her.
Yeah.
So I am going to talk differently. I'm going to use a different tone, a different approach, different words, because I do think that she senses how I feel about her.
Yeah.
And all it's going to do, it's going, that wall is going, she's just going to continue that wall up. If I can change, I think the wall will come down. She can still have her boundaries, because I want boundaries too, but it'll be a much more harmonious boundary.
You'll have that line. And I think what it sounds like your boundaries are is like your beliefs. Like you're not here to make each other believe differently.
No.
But you can still connect with someone who you have very different beliefs.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
and
because I have friends that have different values than I do, and we're still friends.
Yeah.
But this has been a challenge for me with her, because she is so rigid. And,
well, she's one of your sandpaper people. She's here to really smooth you out and like help you with like mastery in this area. Because you already are such a loving, open, accepting person. And so I think a woman like this in your life is just helping you make that strength even stronger.
Yeah.
And I think for you, it's probably more about the energetic of it than the actual physical parts, like the tone. I mean, the tone and the words, definitely. Yeah. But like, if you can keep practicing like that open-hearted energy, I think that will translate to the words and the tone. Because it was the same with my mom. Like when I just stopped, like I said, those first few conversations were the gritted teeth and the screaming in the pillow.
Yes.
But I eventually was just like, hey, I'm just doing the same thing she's doing. So I can just relax.
Right.
So when I was more relaxed, like
that was good.
I got to learn so much about her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. No, and I think realizing that it's the strong opinions that she has, I am also the same. There's the reflection. We both have their different opinions, but we both feel very passionately about our opinions.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's actually a piece there that I want to say, because I find like back to the whole patriarchal and like adversarial relationship, I think that deep down what we really want is to connect.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is when you have two strong opinioned women, and especially if the opinions are different, I think what's really underneath that is you're both struggling to connect with each other. So the real desire is connection.
Yeah.
but you're both kind of like, I don't know how to connect with her.
Right. Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
so the real desire is connection there. So there's a way
I
around.
think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah. Good.
Um,
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I like to always hear too, like favorite moments. So favorite moments is a little bit different. Like it's just any moment from today that just, I don't know, you really liked. So for me, one of my favorite moments is Elizabeth. Actually, I was so worried because like for me, like as a facilitator, I have to hold a lot. And so when you came a little bit late and I was like, oh, I hope she gets what she needs because we were about to go into the journaling. And I was like, I hope that she gets what she needs. So then when I checked in with you though, you totally like got everything you needed. And so I was just like, yes. So that was really, really good. So thank you, Elizabeth, for that. That was one of my favorite moments from today.
Thank you. I'm really glad I joined actually. So that's kind of my favorite moment as well. Just, I was like, because I remember I thought I signed up for this and I was like, wait, what time does it start? And I was like, then I checked my email. I said, oh no, like it kind of started. Well, let me just try and join anyway. So I'm glad I did. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I hope you can make it in the next coming weeks. Yeah, it's always the same time, same place every week. And I believe you have to register each time because
Yes.
you have to register each time. It's just the way I set it up. I don't know if I'll set it up like that in the future, but
okay.
No, actually, I think it's a good way to set it up because it keeps me alert to
register
at 6 o'clock to register.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then I follow through and listen. I think if I signed up for like the whole package, then oh my gosh, it's 8:30 and I forgot to put my my video on or whatever.
Got
but
it.
If I register, then I know, okay, I'm doing something next Tuesday night. I know I have to do something. Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
don't know. I like
So
it.
I'll keep doing it this way. Yeah, and just so both of you know, and anyone watching this recording, I started these back in March, and I said, okay, I'm going to do at least 3 months. I'm going to do it March, April, May. So I'm going to definitely do it in this format through the end of May, but I'm starting to feel like I want to change it or, maybe make it like every other week or once a month. I don't know. And if you have any ideas, I'm open to them, but like just to keep you posted, like it'll be in this specific way every week through May, but I'm starting to feel that itch to like evolve it a little bit. So
yeah, I think that would be
I'll
good.
keep you posted.
Good.
But yeah, Elizabeth, I hope you come back. And Gloria, what was one of your favorite moments? Did you share a favorite moment?
Oh, I don't think I did. Let me think. What was my favorite moment? Well, actually, to be very honest, my favorite moment was when Elizabeth signed on, because then I thought, oh, it's going to be just you and me. It's like, good, somebody else, yay! Not that, and the reason I'm saying this, Elizabeth, is because Amelia and I go back a long way, so I know her. We're very comfortable with each other, but I still want to be able to grow, and I find that when there's other people involved, it becomes, I become the student and she stays the facilitator. And that's how I really wanted it. But if it's just the two of us, we go all over the place. So, yay, Elizabeth. Yay, Elizabeth. Come next week.
Yeah, come next week. And where are you anyway located?
I'm in Southern California.
Oh, you are too? Okay, cool. Yeah, me too. So we got East and West over here.
Yeah, I'm upstate New York, Elizabeth. Woohoo.
Great.
So I hope you can come again next week. We all shared favorite moments. As always, if these circles are meant to just scratch the surface. So there's always so much more to do. And I'd love to hold space for you. So if you ever want to email me or ask me any questions, or if you have any ideas about anything, I'm available. You can just, whatever emails you get from me, you can just respond to that and I'll get them. So until next week.
Oh, you know what, Amelia, when am I getting the cards? When will they be out? Are they coming out in May?
In May. Yep.
Yeah. Great.
Probably like mid-May, late May. Yeah, but I'll definitely like send an email and you'll get a notification when they ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super.
So yeah, these are the
cards. Thank you so much.
I don't know if
yay,
the box, but this is the box.
Okay, great.
Good, good. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you next week.
Whatever. Yes.
Bye-bye.